Hi guys, Debbie Dubois here again. I've been called to do another video and it's interesting because there's so much that's going on right now that I don't even know where to begin. But I was sort of hopping around some of the light worker rooms and a very important question was asked. It was asked in the event is officially happening, and it was so interesting to see the different answers to this question. And the question is, can someone explain what you actually think is happening? And I was like so blown away by the variety of answers. And, I'm reminded of the fact that we as splinters of God, as pieces of God, are all here with our own individual perspectives. And, that leads us to so many different answers of what is actually happening. And I think for all of us, different things are happening. And I've actually started a new mission, if you will. I started a new YouTube channel, What on Earth? Ask You. And I did a couple of videos that I put here just to let everyone know a little bit about the new mission. And, you can check out those videos if you're interested. But what I realized is that the catalytic heart awakening path, or what a lot of people call the twin flame path, um, really was, in my estimation, designed to prepare us for our missions. And I think a lot of us got lost in the dogma of coming into union and like finding a way to become our highest self so that we could come into union with our beloveds. And I do think that carrot on a stick has been extremely invaluable as a motivator for moving us into higher vibrational frequencies. But I think that the more that I look at that whole path, I see how it's easy in and of itself to get kind of stuck there when maybe that wasn't really what it was intended for. And I'll just give you some examples. I've learned on my path, on my awakening path, how to stand in my power, how to speak my truth, how to claim my own the control over my own knowing over what I want to do. Um, and I would say just sort of gone through a maturing or a maturation process spiritually, and a lot of things that would normally, the voices in your head, or those little nigglings of energy that tell you that you're something other than a piece of God, those horrible little things that make you doubt yourself. I think that this path really helped sort of crystallize for myself, and I know a lot of others, why we're really here. I think it was the birth of the creative expression that I talk about, the skills, talents, and abilities that we all have come here with. There's so much need for so many of the different skills, talents, and abilities that we have. And I think it's really easy to get bogged down in where do I go from here, either in my connection, or I find it interesting how source, creator, God has kind of given us this period of sequestering, if you will, to kind of sort of push us into, okay, where do we go from here? Now, many of you know that there are so many things happening on this world level that are as above, so below. There is a great spiritual battle that's going on right now. in a particular time frame is what I'm hearing. It's not necessarily what we think of as now, but there has been and is this huge battle that has been waged, and it's making its presence known here on the planet. So there is a great call for all of us to start putting to use the skills, talents, and abilities that we have, and it's taking precedence over what I would consider the original premise of the catalytic heart awakening. In other words, it's not that it isn't in the back of your mind that mission, is union, that there's union coming, but it's really what we're finding ourselves in on a global scale is a unification process. And I find myself in a really interesting position in that I feel I am, and it's interesting. I'll finish that sentence before I move on to the next thought, but it's a balance between what I found in service in Atlantis so many eons of time ago, which is the balancing between the law of one, which is the service to others and the unity, everyone as one, and then the service to self, which in that time was known as the Sons of Belial. And for those of you who have heard anything about the fact that I know that I was a mediator in that time, and I'm often haunted by the fact that, I was bamboozled into thinking that everybody was on the same page. And here I am again. And I find myself in a similar situation, not in that I don't feel like this is life or death, but I do feel that, first of all, that we've already won, that the light has already won. But this is like a movie that's playing out. And these energies of these polarized energies are having to move in towards the center and into a unification process. And I've got to say that I still have the deep belief that we have to trust the process, as we would say in a catalytic heart awakening process, and we have to trust the plan, which is the things that are kind of like set in the physical 3D, 4D world that we're living in. There's a plan here that's in place that has been orchestrated for, gosh, many years, going back at least 20 years, if not more. A plan to save the planet, if you will. And this is a direct response to all of our the star seeds that came as Trojan horses onto a planet that was infiltrated and taken over by what we would consider those who are following a dark path. And I want to say that I have begun to understand that the path to truth and to higher knowledge doesn't always go through the positive path, that there is equal opportunity to choose the dark path, and there are many on the planet that chose that path in this incarnation and in other incarnations. But where we're at right now, and when we think of the ascension, we're thinking of the embodiment of this planet into a positive polarity outcome. Now, if this means that there's a splitting off of two worlds and two parallel time frames, I don't know that. My sense is, though, is that anyone who's listening to this message understands that we've already really made the shift to the positive polarity. But what is happening right now, and this is the answer to this question, can someone explain what they think is happening? This is just my answer to that question, which is I really believe that our collective envisioning, our collective will is being manifested physically on the planet and has called into physical reality forces that are, I want to say, that Trojan horse that is here being us. And then I would almost say something that we covered in our broadcast on my other channel, which was no matter how you feel about President Trump of the United States, there's every reason to believe that he is a what would be considered a positive Trojan horse. In other words, when we think of a Trojan horse, we typically think of something that looks really, really good. But then when it gets inside and it starts to show itself, you realize, oh, wow, we've been betrayed. It's almost as if I'm being shown and others are being shown that this is absolutely the opposite of what is happening with Donald Trump in as the president of the United States, is that it's almost the reverse. He comes in looking like the worst possible thing that could happen to the light worker community, and because he embodies all of the characteristics that so many spiritual people abhor, and one of those traits is, say, a bully, or the words that he uses, and but as that has been starting to open up and blossom inside the castle walls, what many of us are finding is that he is part of quite an intricate plan to create the manifestation that the light workers have so desperately wanted. Um, I go back way back into I want to say the truther movement and the path to sovereignty, and the discovery of the Federal Reserve, and how the Federal Reserve isn't a federal anything. And okay, so I've got this really long history of firsthand experience and knowledge working within that. And what's really interesting is that I did not vote for Donald Trump, and I have been a lifelong, I would say, progressive in so many ways, because I carry such a high vibration of, or I should say, a high degree of service to others. In other words, I feel I am in service to others, which goes with that polarity. But the catalytic heart awakening path has taught me that it's also really important to care for myself and to make sure that I care for the needs of my own being. So in essence, this spiritual path has kind of integrated those things in to kind of bring me into center. But I never did vote for Donald Trump, and I wouldn't have voted for Hillary for many reasons, mostly of which I knew through my investigation of the sovereignty movement that it was just not a good idea to vote for her. So, but what's really interesting is that nothing surprised me more than discovering through uh, my own searching and my own path, finding the, I want to say, QAnon movement. And yet what's been very difficult for me is that a lot of people that are in that path, they are not really in touch maybe as much as you guys are with their spiritual being. So what we've got is this incredibly powerful movement moving out some of the things that I knew for a long time, like the Federal Reserve and all of the things, the physical structures on the planet, which has held us into slavery. We have a bunch of founding father revolutionary type people who are, give me liberty or give me death. And they're strong warriors and they're fighters, and they might not really even like be totally in touch with their inner knowing and their inner vibration. And but they are showing up to fight just like our founding fathers did. And just how important of a role that is. So, and yet we have our spiritual warriors who are, the prayers and the meditations that went on yesterday and that are going on today. Those things are so extremely important too. And I'm chilling on this because, you know, what I'm being led to tell you is that what needs to happen now is we all need to come together in unity consciousness. We have to honor each other's portion that they're playing. Everyone's playing a very significant role in the takedown of one of the most insidious satanic death cults, royal death racket, Illuminati, whatever you want to call that power and that force that has been on the planet that we all kind of know exists. It's really important that we understand that we all have a very important mission and role to play right now in this process. And um, if you were to stop and to take a look at your path, your spiritual path, and if you were to start to uncover what is it that you came here to do, those people who listen to my channel, who have been interested in my readings, who have been interested in the catalytic heart awakening path, I think most of you, and I'll tell you what, a lot of the people that listen to my channel, we're fewer in numbers. If you go look at some of those other channels with 100,000 followers, I don't have 100,000 followers, but I know that the people that listen to the messages and resonate with my messages, you all know that this path called you to do something. You all have some skill, talent, ability of creative expression to help in this whole process. And I guess what I'm doing in this is to say, as all of this is happening, and I mean the destruction, the takedown, the literal deconstruction of a platform of control that has been on this planet for eons of time, that this, I want to assure you, is happening on the physical level. There are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of human beings right now, from the military to military intelligence to people who have infiltrated, all co-infiltrated against the bad guys, all of our areas of government there. And we also, I will also let you know, we also have a supercomputer, a quantum computer, feeding us information from the future, and that is what the QAnon posting on the board has been all about. And we have, all of this information coming to us right now because we are at that physical juncture where these structures are being decommissioned, if you will. We are all together creating a new reality. And this is what we kind of refer to as our ascension process. And as we do that, this is one of the most interesting things, because this talks about ascension in the physical reality, is we have the ability to look at our RNA, which is the component of the DNA that we can literally rewrite. We're going to be able to comment out stuff in our RNA. We're going to be able to literally manipulate our own RNA of our DNA to become these beings, these spiritual beings of higher vibration, getting rid of the sickness, getting rid of the illness, getting rid of these templates. In other words, what I'm discovering is the physical how of how we move into these higher vibrations. And I know a lot of us believe that there will be a wave coming that will just transform us magically. And I can't say whether that's true or not. The intelligence that I'm following, and I will come right out and say, Austin Steinbart is someone who has claimed to actually be the younger self of the Q movement, of the quantum computing era, where they're literally conducting a military intelligence operation from the future, which is how all this physical shifting is being handled. Some of you may be interested in that. Some of you may not care at all what's happening from that standpoint. If you are, you will probably want to go check out our channel. I'm doing a channel with Kimberly Fisher, Aria, What on Earth. And if you're interested in those physical aspects, I implore you, go check out some of those videos. The Austin Steinbart videos are incredibly helpful. We have two series going on right now. And I would just recommend, if you're interested in any of that, watch those in order, episodes 1 through 6. And then we've got an ongoing short series one, two, three. I think we're in episode 3. They're very short, bite-sized pieces of the physical technologies, the physical things that are coming, that are going to make this a reality that we've known. What the anti-aging is about, what the truth is about global warming. That is fascinating. There's all kinds of information on what's really been happening. There's also some really dark sides to what's been happening. And the truth is, you don't have to know about any of that. If you feel called to know about it, it broke my heart, some of the stuff that I was learning about. But it also made me dive deep into, confronting my own darkest fears and shadows, and also my strength, my ability to honestly face the things that are the darkest things that could possibly take place. I used to be like, no, 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 I can't. And I have people that are at that place. I've been able to sort of step back from that fear, and realize that for me personally, I needed to integrate the truth of that so that I could deal head on with some of the things that are happening. But the most important message I think that I have is that each of you have come here and worked very hard on dismantling a lot of the blocks that you have to love, and a lot of your false programs, and a lot of the stories that you've told yourself. And if you're still in that process, let this be that motivation to remember to focus on your mission here. I think in the Catalytic Heart Awakening path, we've kind of thought of our mission as being a little bit more about holding the light and coming into union to hold the light across the planet and things like that. That's all very important, to see the union that already exists on the higher levels. Now, I would like to ask you all to reach into your hearts and think about what it is you love to do, what you came to do. Probably the most important mission right now is actually speaking to people and helping them to understand what's happening, and to give hope, and to spread the word. For those of you who feel called to, visit my other channel, What on Earth, we could really use people's help in getting the word out that this is not a left and right issue. This is a humanity issue. Right now, there is a great mission and military operation going on right now. I know many of you know that out of the blue, President Trump has called for us to have our military go after the cartels. And there's a lot of people saying, well, why is he doing that? Because most of the dark, deep-seated operations that have happened from the dark side, those are the minions. Those are the foot soldiers for those people. And that's just another confirmation that they're dismantling that royal death racket network right now. So we all need to come together, and we all need to see the reality of what is really happening. And in any way that you feel called to spread the word, to let people know, and really to come together to be the peace that we came here to be the change that we came to see, to unify in whatever way you feel called to play that role, no matter what your skills, talents, abilities are. If it's art, if it's communications, if it's writing, if it's video, whatever it is. I guess I'm really calling and appealing to you to step into your missions, because it's go time. And as I say that, I'm really, really chilling. And I had planned on pulling out cards and having a reading, but this just shows me. I just said, I'm going to turn on this camera and I am going to channel whatever is the highest intent right now. And I think that it is the mission. We're here to do our missions. And that is what I was led to really talk about. And I have done so. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. I love you all dearly. I apologize for not having created more content for this channel. My mission is really, I'm going to keep in touch on this channel. I feel that there are so many of you that are really ready to dive in and be on your missions. And I guess I'm just here to encourage you with all open heart to do so. All right. I love you guys all very much. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you. Namaste.